Hello, hello, you guys, and welcome to another story time brought to you by ABC Read and ABC Learn, in which we are here to help you develop and nurture that love of reading in every child as well as every adult. How are you all doing out there this evening, daytime, real early in the morning, real late at night, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are around the planet Earth, third rock from the sun? I hope that you all are doing just grandioso. I think my cat, he was so excited, Tuffy. He saw how excited that I was. He jumped up here up on the desk. So if the camera kind of went blank or something a little bit, that was him. But anyway, we must move on, and I hope that you all have read or you're planning to read for at least 30 minutes, y'all. That's what's up. And before I get started, just real brief, I'm not about to be long-winded like I know I can be, but I just love talking about literacy with you guys. I just love encouraging you all to read, all right? Because you and we, or y'all, if it's a lot of you all watching this video, we are reading revolutionaries. That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? Because we are about promoting that literacy, promoting that reading, all right? And remember, one of the keys to getting better with reading is being consistent, all right? Consistency, okay? And trust me, as I'm reminding you all, I am reminding myself, all right? Because I still struggle with that. You know, when you find that thing that works and it works well, you got to do it all the time. All right. So if your thing is, if you're into reading books about cars or, cars and trucks, or if you're into reading books about baking or fashion design and whatever it is, keep doing it over and over again, because that is what is going to help you develop and nurture that love of reading. All right. So consistency. I'm just going to let that sink in with you guys. Doing it all the time. All right. Doing what works well all the time. All right. Bam. That's what's up. So now what I'm going to do, continue on with reading out of this book, Fish in a Tree. Author, her name is Linda Mullaly Hunt. And again, we are just, oh my goodness, we are just delving into this book. It is so awesome. Allie Nickerson is the main character of this book. And yes, she is struggling with reading, all right? So I thought this book was awesome to read, right? Because this is what we are trying to help promote here, literacy. And we know there are some young people out there as well as adults who are struggling with reading, all right? And Allie Nickerson, she is definitely trying to overcome that. And so, we're trying to, we are definitely unfolding what is going on in this book. And she is getting closer and closer to getting that help that she needs. But of course, with anything, is that we have to understand is when you need help with something, the first step is to admit that you even need the help, that you have a problem, all right? And you cannot feel embarrassed, all right? And again, as I'm reminding you guys, I am reminding myself, all right? So this chapter I'm going to be reading today is chapter 13, Trouble with Flowers. It's the night of the holiday concert when we sing about Santa and Drydells and Kwanzaa. The best part is getting a new dress. I stand in front of a mirror looking at my dress and my first shoes with a heel on them, thinking about the shopping day I had with my mom. We even went to A.C. Peterson's for lunch. I liked how she stayed with me in a booth instead of having to go wait on other people. I love to sing, but I don't like our music teacher, Mrs. Muldoon. Max calls her Minefield Muldoon because you never can tell when she'll blow up over something. Oliver calls her that too, but he acts it out by leaping into the air and yelling, Muldoon! As he lands on the floor and rolls. He doesn't stop though. He goes from a roll right to his feet again, like a cat in a cartoon. Shay is making fun of Albert because his clothes don't fit. What's with the pants, Albert? She says. Did you get that outfit in the third grade? Keisha whips around fast. Why do you always try to pull people down? She asks. Because some people deserve it. That's why, Shay answers. Deserve to be pulled down? Really? Keisha asks. Albert straightens his tie, which is the only part of his outfit that fits. He's even wearing his sneakers with the backs cut out. You know, he says, logically, if a person was to pull another down, it would mean that he or she is already below that person. Keisha lets out a laugh so loud that Mrs. Muldoon shoots her a look. Keisha covers her mouth and tries to squelch the sound. That is perfect, Albert. Man, you are really a smart dude. She turns to Shay. You, on the other hand, are so low, you could play tennis against a curb. Shay's eyes narrow. But before she can say anything, Mrs. Muldoon appears and tells us to line up. For the spring concert last year, before I had a growth spurt, I had to stand in the front row. I liked when Travis called me a dime among pennies. But this year, I get to stand toward the back of the line with the taller kids, right next to Keisha. I look over at her. I love how she stuck up for Albert. She had the guts that I didn't in the cafeteria. I wish I could be braver. We all stand, waiting to file into the auditorium. Oh, Mrs. Muldoon, I love your dress, Shay says. Mrs. Muldoon lights up like a bulb. Why, thank you, Shay. Your parents have raised such a nice young lady. Oh, thank you very much, Mrs. Muldoon. Shay smiles, but when she turns away toward Jessica, she rolls her eyes, and she keeps glaring at Keisha. I decide I won't think about how mad she makes me, and I'll think instead about how all the girls get to carry a bouquet of flowers. That's the good news. The bad news is that they have been donated by Jessica's father, the florist. It's nice of him, but Jessica hasn't stopped bragging about it. Mrs. Muldoon walks down the line, handing out the most beautiful bouquets I have ever seen, like the ones that brides carry. Dark red ribbons that wind around the stems like a barbershop light pole. Ribbons dangle from the bottom, too. She hands my bunch to me, and I smile thinking of how much my mom will love to see me with them. Keisha leans in to smell them and runs her fingers over the tops of the flowers. Then one of the white buds fall off and bounces off the top of her shiny black shoe. Mrs. Muldoon is there in a second. What do you think you're doing? Mrs. Muldoon grabs the flowers from Keisha's hands. Keisha looks up. No, please don't. I didn't mean. These flowers are a gift. And if that's how you're going to treat a gift, with a complete lack of respect and gratitude, then you, Keisha Almond, will be the only girl without flowers. But Mrs. Muldoon, Keisha says, I really did it. Mrs. Muldoon holds up her hand like she's stopping traffic. I don't want to hear it. You will have no flowers, and perhaps you will remember in the future how a lady behaves. See, Shay says to Jessica, people do get what they deserve. I stand behind Keisha, but I wish I could see her face. I wait for her to say something back, but Keisha doesn't say anything. Although I can't see her cry, I hear her sniff and see her brush her cheeks with her fingertips. And I watch a mind movie of me being the only girl without flowers, marching in to see all the parents. And the look on my mom's face, how she'd be the only sad parent in a sea of smiling ones. And how I'd feel like I was less than everyone else. No one should ever feel like that. I feel my fingertips dig into the center of my bouquet to separate the thick stems. It takes some twisting to work half the flowers out of the fancy ribbon. but I put some muscle into it. Stems crack and leaves and petals fall, spinning in the air, landing all around my shiny new shoes. Mrs. Muldoon has turned around to stare. Her mouth is open wide enough for a bird to build a nest in. I hold her gaze as I hand half the flowers to Keisha. Well, she can have some of mine then. In the end, neither of us had flowers when we walked into the auditorium, but we had bigger smiles than anyone else. Wow. Oh my goodness. What I tell y'all, come on, y'all. Y'all know y'all feeling this book. This is awesome. Look at that. And I know you guys can imagine, just like the Mime movies that Allie Nickerson has, right? I mean, I'm imagining this book being turned into a movie. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the works, y'all. Okay? I love how Keisha stood up for Albert. And then look at that. And you saw how Allie observed that as well. And she obviously said, you know what? I am going to dig up that courage that's inside of me and I'm going to stand up for Keisha. Because as we saw, Mrs. Muldoon, in my opinion, she was tripping. Okay. She was trying to make a big deal out of something and she really was being harsh towards Keisha. She did not have to do that in terms of taking those flowers away from Keisha. But you see how the kids do it, right? Allie had her back. She said, oh, okay. She said, I know what it is. She said, I'll share some of my flowers. And look at that. And she risked her not being able to have flowers either. She didn't trip when Mrs. Muldoon took her flowers away. She said, hey, we will both be happy without flowers. But guess what? We are happier because we stood up for what was injustice, right? So I hope you guys got that from that chapter. And again, I hope you all tune in for our next chapter, all right? So remember, you guys, like, subscribe, and share our videos. And remember to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. Peace.